All right, so tornado sirens are probably the most feared things any of us in Oklahoma can probably hear, and there's no escaping the dreaded tornado season, right? How many of you guys know the names of all the meteorologists? Yep, I sure did. I don't know if you guys remember Rick Mitchell, but I actually mourned his departure. I loved him, and he was very cute. And now I watch Gary England, he's all right. I've lived here all my life, and I've always heard the sirens, but I've never been in a tornado. And it's extremely scary, and I've been terrified of the sirens of Mother Nature, earthquakes, tornadoes, anything, since I was a kid. And my mom used to get really angry because I would literally just pull my hair out just thinking about it. And if I heard them, or if it was too cloudy that day, I would ask to watch the Weather Channel, which was like on channel 3 or 2 or something when I was like 10, so it's pretty bad. Let's see. Just seeing like the broadcasts on TV is pretty much what terrifies me, maybe everybody else too, just like the devastation and, your roof's on top of their car and, somebody's arm's probably in there somewhere. That's just really scary for me, and I've never lived anywhere where I had a tornado shelter. So on the morning of May 20th, 2013, the most large tornado in Oklahoma, in Moore, I was actually there, and it was the scariest thing I've ever been through in my whole life. The morning started off really crazy because we knew that something might happen. And so me and my sister were there, and I was only there because I was helping her take care of 2 kids. One is a handicap, and he's only 1, and then the other one's like 6 months old. So, and then I had a 3-year-old at the time. And so it was getting really, we need to be here for each other and help, get everything in the shelter, getting bottles and food and water, everything ready. Well, it seemed at one point like the tornado was just gonna miss us. So we turned the news off and we're fine. And then all of a sudden it got extremely dark and we just panicked, turned the weather on. It's raining like crazy. And just the sirens, as soon as we turned the TV back on, the sirens started, blaring. So it was really scary. We had to get 3 kids down into a storm shelter, get a chair for one of the kids, and so both of us had to, it's such a timely thing to get all these things down here. And little did we know, the tornado wasn't even near us whenever the sirens went off. So we got in the shelter and we stayed there for about an hour, maybe an hour and a half until something happened. And imagine being in a tornado shelter with 3 kids, one who's 6 months old just cannot stop crying. My 3-year-old, he was just terrified, and then one's just not, he doesn't really care, but I'm terrified. My sister's yelling at me because I'm stressed out, and so we're trying to hold the radio, outside of the little hole in the shelter to try and get it's like, please, Gary, please just help us out here. And so finally we just start hearing a huge vacuum suction, just completely loud. Things are hitting our house, or my sister's house, and just, I thought that we were probably going to die because they were like, it's the biggest one. And so, I'm thinking that the concrete's going to come up and the tornado shelter's going to come up and we're just all going to die and it's just going to be bad. We've got 3 kids and we're going to be squashed. It's going to be, okay, so that was pretty bad. And thankfully, after 5 minutes of hearing this, we got to open up the shelter and get out after Gary England told us that the tornado had moved on somewhere else. And opened up the garage door, and it's completely, the neighbors full of debris. And we didn't think that it was that bad because my sister's block didn't really have much damage. It was just a lot of debris and just trash. And we walked down to 4th Street, and there's just devastation everywhere. I mean, just phone poles completely just turned upside down. Well, at this point, I'm like, okay, I need to get a hold of my fiance, who was supposed to meet us there, but he promised me that he was going to be there before anything happened, right? And 8 hours later, still haven't heard anything from him. And the electricity was out. We couldn't, it was the most awful thing I've ever been through. And I finally, burst into tears seeing his name on the caller ID. And I was I just yelled at him for a good 15 minutes. And I was like, how dare you? I can't believe you. You just call. You call first. That's what you do. I thought you were dead. It was really bad. And so I was like, if I don't leave you, you need to call overwhelming. And so that was probably the worst thing that I've ever experienced in my life. And I just learned, you can't really, put a price on your family. And we got to make sure that we never take our family for granted and just treat Mother Nature very seriously, because you guys, you think it's not going to happen, but I promise you, when you're least expecting it, it's going to happen, and it's just, the worst thing in the world. So just be prepared, and I've learned a lot to be prepared, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you.